And welcome to the PC Gaming Weekspot, your recap of the last 7 days in PC video gaming, or the last 14 days-ish, because we've been off for a week. But anyway, my name is Colin Ahern, and more importantly, joining me this week, as an artist, he believes it's his job to reflect the times. And it's been such a difficult time. He wants to uplift, encourage, and celebrate. It's the one and only Mr. Matthew Castle.
Hello!
That is true, isn't it? You want to do all those things.
Yes. What was that a reference to?
That is a reference to Beyonce Knowles, who became the most awarded Grammy lady, I think. Lady with Grammys. I think she won 28, not just last night, but in her total career. It's quite a lot. But the more interesting thing, I think, about Beyonce's Grammy story from last night, or space-time continuum, whenever Sunday night, is her daughter is now a Grammy Award winner at the age of 9. At the age of 9. I think this is because...
Is it warranted? I'm not aware of her music. Or is it just nepotism gone mad?
Well, she was in a Beyonce video and the video won an award. So it's like... people are being nice to the 9-year-old child and saying, you know, you won that. Well done. Fair play to you. So she's on for the EGOT, Matthew.
She's on for the EGOT.
So fingers
How close
crossed.
are you to getting the EGOT?
A little further away, sadly. Yeah, it's not as close as a 9-year-old child. More luck to her.
Well, I'm sure the Weekspot will win a Tony one day or something.
Fingers crossed.
We should win a Tony for, what was her face? It was Spielberg. What's Spielberg's secretary called?
For Greta surname.
Greta.
Yeah. There wasn't much singing in Greta. I don't know. Maybe she could.
Tony, it's stage. It's a dramatic performance.
Yeah, I suppose that is true. Yeah. We'll see. Fingers crossed. But yeah, we didn't have a show last week. So, Matthew, I will ask you nicely to grab that news crank of yours and open that gob, but even wider.
It's a bit tough this week because it hasn't been open for a while.
Wide, open it very wide.
Info snacks for his gob.
So yeah, we didn't have a show last week, so there are maybe more information snacks than usual. But in saying that, it's not like loads of things haven't really happened in the last 2 weeks. But anyway, starting us off with quite a bigger information snack is that since our last episode, and I think it was like a day after our last episode, Epic Games have announced that they've bought Tonic Games Group, which is the parent company of Mediatonic, who are the developers of Fall Guys. Mediatonic have said that there won't be many changes to Fall Guys right now. And the game is still available to purchase on Steam, but I don't know whether that will change in the future, and it'll just be on the Epic Game Store. They had a little Q&A on their blog, and they were asked about, or they put in a kind of an FAQ or something like that, about the game going free to play, and they said nothing to announce right now, but I don't know. It could go like we've seen it with what's it called? Rocket League. So it's very possible that this will go free to play.
Is Rocket League still massive? I never really get a feel for what happened with Rocket League after this whole thing happened to them.
I suppose, well, yeah, I couldn't give you like player numbers, but it feels like it's still relatively big. I mean, it's not
It's one of these weird things where, like, there are like retail games, you get a real sense if they've been a success or not because of like the charts. It's really obvious they're there. And then often, you know, I feel like there are multiplayer communities that you just don't hear about, or they're so just sort of self-contained that they don't kind of intersect with your life in any way.
Yeah.
And so you're like, oh, no one play. You know, it's a bit like with Grand Theft Auto Fight Online, where every once in a while they're like, oh, it made $2 billion last year. And you're like, what? People are playing that? And it's massive, but it's sort of somehow secretly massive. which I feel is the same for maybe Rocket League. Do you think Fall Guys has got the legs to? I feel like the bubble's already burst on it a bit.
It has. It's fallen down the Steam charts a decent amount, but then like the game did. Is the game out? It's not out 12 months, but like, when was it out? Was it out like last May, maybe June?
Yeah,
like it's out a while. I don't honestly.
Like,
it's so.
When did you last see a Fall Guys meme on Twitter? I may have muted Fall Guys. That may explain that.
That will make it harder to see them.
Now I think of it.
Well, speaking of multiplayer games, in some other around 2-week-old news now, there's another Alien game on the way. It is not Alien Isolation 2, sadly, but it's also not Colonial Marines 2, so that's a plus. It's Aliens Fireteam, which is a class-based co-op third-person shooter. It's coming out this summer, and IGN had one of their IGN first gameplay videos things with the devs. It seems okay.
I mean, it seems like what Aliens Colonial Marines said it was going to be.
Yeah. And I mean, if they can do that, that will be at least be better than Colonial Marines. Like the Alien game that I think most people want, although I could be wrong, but I feel, Alien Isolation 2, of course, it's a no-brainer. That was an excellent video game. Give me another one of those. But
a bit of a split on that one, though.
It did. I think we've even spoken about it here before. Critically, at least, it was very odd. Like, America were like, this is rubbish. And like, over this part of the world, it was like, this is excellent. So, yeah, I don't know. That was an odd one.
Yeah, I don't know about this one. I was watching a bit of footage before we started this. Just looks a little too much like kind of, I don't know, Gears Horde mode, but it just happens to have aliens. Like, I don't think making an alien, Aliens isn't just about like the numbers, and it's, it's obviously it's more of an action film compared to the horror film of Alien. But it still has like, it's incredibly stressful to the point of being quite scary. It's quite dark, it's quite claustrophobic. I don't know how easy it is to kind of tap into that while like your idiot friends are like hooting over headsets and microphones. I don't think it's as simple as saying like Aliens is an action film, so it will automatically be a good co-op game.
Yeah.
I don't know. It looks a bit well lit to me, that footage.
Yeah.
And the problem with the aliens kind of look dumb as hell if you can see them. Like, what they work in Aliens, because it's like a writhing mass, it's quite hard to kind of pick them out. Like, then you never see the whole thing. Like, the alien's head is one of the most amazing bits of like monster design ever, but the alien's body is just a human body.
Yeah.
Because it's just a freaking dude wearing that huge head, and I've always thought it looks dumb as hell, and it looked dumb as hell in that footage, because you can just see it. It's like in a well-lit warehouse, and he's just there doing his... It's like a man with a big funny mask on.
It's like a very, very athletic, fit, lean MMA fighter with a big stupid head on.
Or an acrobat. It's like it's a horde mode against Cirque du Soleil. That's what it basically is, except with less yodeling.
Sign me up. In other news, Yakuza director Toshiro Nagoshi spoke to Game Informer recently and implied that the studio might be looking at doing something new. So the quote is, "The team have only really worked on the Yakuza series, but I think it would be a waste if these really talented team members that we have aren't able to use all their skills to their full potential. They might be challenging themselves, creating something of a whole... creating something of a whole different genre and a different style. We don't know that yet, but that's something that we're really taking into consideration right now for the growth of our team as a whole." Would you welcome something different from the Yakuza studio, Matthew? Because could it not be argued that like All right, yes, it is a Yakuza game. Like a Dragon was more different than Judgment was, which was the PlayStation 4 only game that wasn't set in the Yakuza series, but was still set in Tokyo, still set in Kamurocho. The combat was very much like your classic Yakuza games, whereas Like a Dragon felt at least, well, a lot different, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I think people seem to have forgotten that they made Binary Domain.
And yes.
10 years ago, which is actually a very, very competent third-person shooter. I really rate Binary Domain. Great enemies. Has like a weird sense of humor and sense of character.
Like a French robot, isn't there?
Yeah, the French robot, which is very like Yakuza-esque. And the melodramatic cutscenes. I like their cinematic style. It's very, very appealing to me. I'm always sad we didn't see more of that kind of thing from them. I'd happily get a bit more of that. It is strange, the idea of this team kind of returning to the same game, but like literally the same space over and over again. And you do wonder if, some of the changes they made in Like a Dragon kind of had to happen just for their own sanity. Like the differences in the brawling systems in like the last 5 Yakuzas, say, are kind of pretty arbitrary. It's sort of, he's got 3 styles, and then in the next game it'll be like one of those styles. Yeah. And in Judgment, I think they added like the bloke could jump off walls a bit more. Mm-hmm. And it's not, you do wonder, is this how like creatively satisfying is it to work on such minute changes? But if they were to do something new, I would want something like drastically new. Like, give me something that is like not a third person action game. Like, I don't know, give me whatever, a strategy game, or give me something different, something that is the antithesis of what Yakuza is. I'd just like to see that. I think that, one of the big appeals of Yakuza is, it ticks a huge box for sort of Japanophiles, and they are so good at capturing an atmosphere and a spirit and like the minute details of a place. Like, I'd happily see them take that approach elsewhere, maybe going out of the, we know that they can do like urban city centers really well, but, maybe go to a different kind of location, or maybe grow the scale of it. Not like go full open world, but maybe something a bit more like Shenmue, go to like a rural location maybe, and like apply that sense of play, try and capture that sense of place to it. It's a tricky thing, but they've had a great track record. I think that team's really good, and they've also, I think they're in a place where they probably could like go try something different and have it completely shit the bed, because then they know that they can make good Yakuza games. They can just go, all right, we'll just make Yakuza games again.
Agreed. They have the cachet now to take a chance. Yeah. Because when Yakuza 8 is announced, people will be like, yeah, sign me up. So they
survived Binary Domain not being the biggest thing in the world ever, despite being very good and underrated. And you should play it on PC if you can. It's good.
I'd imagine it'd be quite cheap as well, actually, if you wanted to pick up Binary Domain now. Something else that's quite cheap, it's free in fact, is Artifact, which was the Dota 2 based CCG from Valve. Valve have now pulled the plug on it because it just wasn't popular enough. Valve, in a statement or in a blog post on Steam, said, quote, "It's now been about a year and a half since the current Artifact team began work on a reboot in earnest. While we're reasonably satisfied we accomplished most of our game side goals, we haven't managed to get the active player numbers to a level that justifies further development at this time." Tough, I suppose, but a year and a half in, they've decided to pull the plug, and I believe those people have gone on to other projects at Valve. So
No one's got the absolute magic touch. Even they don't have the magic touch.
Yeah, exactly. In other news, Ubisoft has delayed Watch Dogs Legion's online multiplayer indefinitely on PC, not the other ones. I believe it came out to the other platforms. Ubisoft said, we've identified an issue in the PC version that can cause the game to crash for players with certain GPUs. The team is working on fixing the issue as quickly as possible, and in the meantime, we've made the decision to wait to launch the PC version until this is fixed.
Sounds sensible.
Yeah.
I've been reading only so reports of this.
So reports of the quality of it.
Of the multiplayer, yeah.
Right, okay.
It's just relatively unimpressive kind of co-op missions, kind of the start, the way that GTA Online does it, where you have a little storyline. It's maybe 3 or 4 missions in a row, and it's just Watch Dogs, but with 4 of you doing it.
Right, yeah.
I mean, maybe that appeals. I don't know. I watched a little video of 4 blokes on one of those builder hover drones.
Mm-hmm.
And, one of them's flying it and the other 3 are shooting some drones or whatever. That looked all right. But I don't, based on just, skim reading a few kind of early hands-on impressions, it sounds like there's not masses to it.
PC players aren't missing much, is basically.
No, I should probably go back and finish Watch Dogs Legion. I've this constant sort of... I think I read a couple of things at the end of last year that said it kind of became more interesting as it went on, because, the whole thing where you kind of enlist NPCs into your network of characters, and the relationships become more interesting and more tangled, the more of them you have. I didn't really sense any of that in the 10 hours, 15 hours that I played.
Neither did I.
I didn't see anything that made me think, oh yeah, I see the potential of this in the way that you did with, say, the Mordor Nemesis system,
right,
which is kind of probably the closest sort of thing to that. But I don't know, if I find myself with we've got a long weekend soon, we must do. Isn't it Easter?
Easter, yeah. Is it the first week of
way
April?
To celebrate the death and resurrection of Christ than
hacking some electronic devices in modern day London. It's what Jesus would have wanted. Another thing he probably would have wanted is to play horror game Devotion, but in the last 2 years he wouldn't have been able to, because it was removed from sale after some controversy surrounding the developer Red Candle Games and their depiction of the Chinese president in game. It was meant
some bullshit controversy.
Yeah. It basically got review bombed in China because of this, and the game just went away. They tried to re-release it on GOG last year, and that was a shitstorm, because GOG made a statement or put a tweet out or whatever it was, saying you've been wanting to play Devotion for 12 months. Well, here it is. And within about 2 hours, was it? It was incredibly quickly. They were
much for consumers first, GOG.
Yeah, they were no, we're not going to sell it. Which was silly.
And just to appease a tiny audience. Oh, wait, no.
But you can buy it now. As of, I think it was Sunday night, there's a DRM free version of the game available from the developer's own store, which they have set up. You can also buy Detention, which was their previous game.
Meant to be dead good, right?
Devotion, yeah.
Legitimately good. At the time, I thought it was people getting behind it just because of what had happened to it. But I've seen some people who are no, this is genuinely a really great thing.
It's genuinely meant to be a very good game. I didn't get to play it at the time, so I might try and make my business to try and play it now. I really enjoyed Detention. I thought that was a properly terrifying game. A really excellent horror, all atmosphere.
Yeah.
So I might try and get around to that. And finally, in a packed information snacks segment. There's a new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game on the way. This is from the developer behind Mercenary Kings and Flint Hook. They also, a number of them, I don't know if it was the entire team. I don't think it was. I think it's a number of the developers involved with this team. Also worked on a Turtles GBA game that released in 2007 or something, which was quite late in the Game Boy Advance's life, but it's quite well regarded. And they also did something else that won't come to my head. Something else beat 'em uppy, I think. But this game is called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. And it's like the old games. It's a side-scrolling beat 'em up. And the trailer has an excellent cover of the theme tune sung by Mike Patton, he of Faith No More and Mr. Bungle fame.
Isn't he the voice of the darkness in the darkness?
Yep, he is indeed.
Which is interesting because in that he sounds quite like Krang from Turtles.
It all comes full circle.
Jackie, Krang. They should get him to be the voice of Krang.
They could do. Yeah, although I don't know if there's going to be voice acting in this. It does look quite retro, quite like it's not pixelated. Like it looks kind of shinier and more modern, but it does still look a little bit like Matthew, it's after escaping me. What was the name of it? Turtles in Time. Does kind of follow that kind of aesthetic.
Yeah, watching the trailer made me very nostalgic for the old arcade machines. There used to be one in the swimming pool centre where I had my swimming lessons as a kid. I was watching the trailer and it was making me think of that, the age-old dilemma of whether to give your 50p to a Turtles arcade machine or to buy a can of Rio from a vending machine, which is like the only place you can ever buy Rio in public, it seems.
Swimming pool vending machines.
And takeaways. You never just go into a Tesco's and buy a can of Rio.
I don't know.
It's delicious.
I don't know if I've ever seen a can of Rio in any supermarket.
You do get them in like some sort of smaller,
the corner shops.
Corner shop kind of,
right.
Chains and stuff. There used to be, not to go too deep into the Rio thing,
please,
but there used to be different. Do you remember there used to be different brands of Rio?
Mm-hmm.
Like different. There was like Rio Oriental, and there was Rio Tropical, which is now what just Rio is. The Rio you can buy is Rio Tropical, but there was one called Rio Oriental.
Maybe I don't remember that.
So there's also Rio Citrus as well.
Well, you could start a petition. You could Amazon. Have you tried Amazon? They normally have.
You can't buy like trays of like 32 cans of Rio from Amazon, but
is that too far?
Catherine would probably divorce me if I started buying that much Rio.
So those are your information snacks for the past 2 weeks or so. So now it's time to talk about the maybe bigger news stories of the last 2 weeks in headlines and hot takes. Yes, headlines and hot takes is the part of the PC Gaming Weekspot where we take you through the bigger news stories of the past 7 days. Some bigger, maybe some not so big. And one that we've already spoken about in depth, but it's official now. Microsoft has acquired Bethesda. So, yeah, this was the deal that was initially announced in September of last year. But America and Europe's kind of regulatory boards, they gave the go-ahead, said, yes, you can part with $7.5 billion Microsoft and to buy this company. So they have done. And following this, Microsoft announced that 20 Bethesda games were going to be coming to Xbox Game Pass and are now there. Like, you've 5 Dooms, 4 Elder Scrolls, 3 Fallouts, 3 Wolfensteins, both Dishonored, a Prey, an Evil Within, and a Rage. But after this announcement, the thing that kind of got people in a tizzy mainly was that Phil Spencer, who had been dancing around this issue for whatever it was, for the last 4 or 5 months, or however long it's been, exclusivity. So he said, "This is the next step in building an industry-leading first-party studios team, a commitment we have to our Xbox community. With the addition of the Bethesda creative teams, gamers should know that Xbox game consoles, PC, and Game Pass will be the best place to experience new Bethesda games, including some new titles in the future that will be exclusive to Xbox and PC players." Now, it hasn't been made clear what will be exclusive, what will be timed exclusive, whether, say, for example, Elder Scrolls 6 will be exclusive, or a Wolfenstein 4, or a Doom 3, or whatever, or if it will just be new series like Starfield and so on. But, I mean, from a PC standpoint, Matthew, we'll get to play all these, which is good. From a games industry standpoint, I have a vague recollection of you saying before that you quite enjoyed exclusives. Am I right or am I wrong? But like, you quite enjoyed exclusives from I don't know really, actually. Why? Like,
no, what I liked was the idea that if you're going to spend all this money on a platform, that the person heading up that platform is like,
oh, that was it,
a bit of a fighter for it.
Okay,
that's what I like. Where the tone of the conversation, like these last 5 or so years, has been very like, when we all win together kind of thing. When Sony wins, we win, and all that kind of, the heads of the companies all shaking hands on stage at their games awards and all that kind of jazz.
Jeff
and
Keighley did it.
That's the thing. It's all very like, peace in our times. That's fantastic. But I don't know if it's just growing up in the 90s where like the rivalries were so sort of childish, but I really like the idea that people were kind of going to bat for the thing that I owned, not just for the smug satisfaction of rubbing it in someone's face.
Just because you would have presumably better games and more games to play on the thing that you bought. Yeah.
Surely you want that. I mean, if everyone was in agreement that everything was going to be on everything, then that's fine. But that's not the case. And as long as there are going to be exclusives, you may as well, you want a real kind of brawler in your corner to get those exclusives, to spend that much money and not like rub it in the face of other people. And admittedly, this comes from a position of, we know we're going to get it on PC. So, that takes some of the edge off it. I mean, the fact of the matter is, like, we're going to get a lot of the PlayStation stuff on PC as well, as we talked about in the last week's spot. So, we've really not got that much skin in the game.
Not really, no. But the thing that did kind of baffle me a little bit about this was that some people were thinking that, like, Microsoft, who have in the past year or two maybe have definitely been on damage control and putting out a more positive message to people while they try and get them on board. Maybe longer actually, and maybe not 1 or 2, maybe 3 or 4 years. And trying to be like, we are for the gamers. Yes, we love you and we're consumer friendly and blah, blah, blah. They're not, but like some people were surprised with the fact that they spent $7.5 billion on Bethesda and have said, yeah, we're going to have these. We're not sharing them. They spent $7.5 billion on Bethesda. Of course, they were going to be like, they're ours now. And to play these, you need to either have Game Pass on PC or Game Pass on your Xbox or buy an Xbox, whatever. But I mean, it didn't surprise me. Of course, they're going to make them exclusive. I mean, if they, when they kind of, I suppose when you think about it, like, it would make sense for them to go from now on, every Bethesda game is going to be exclusive. So if they at least say have like the next Elder Scrolls or the next whatever it is, Wolfenstein, for like series that have been third party, if they have them on Switch and PlayStation, I think that's kind of like, I don't know, it's a happy medium, is it not? Like, yes, I suppose you want everyone possible to play games, and the more access to games, the better, etc. But looking at it from their standpoint, like, of course, they were going to go exclusive. It was like,
yeah, I mean, the difference as well is like, if you did put it on everything, just the fact that you get it for so much cheaper on Game Pass is like enough, is almost such a natural advantage, especially if you do things like exclusive DLC, all the good stuff, all the really fun stuff happens here on Xbox and PC, and, these other versions are very much like second-class citizens. They could get away with that. But then I think if you've got to start maybe comparing what they're doing to what's happening in like film and TV streaming and the kind of money being spent there, I think I was reading the thing this morning, it's ridiculous. Disney Plus are like, planning to spend 12 billion or something on original programming over the next 5 years or something like that. And,
wow.
Hang on, I'm just going to look that up because the second I said that, I was like, 12 billion sounds
like a lot. But then
that does sound like a huge amount.
Disney have a lot of money. I mean, Disney have already spent, what did they bought Fox for what, 30 odd? They obviously bought Star Wars, Marvel. Like, Disney have a load of money.
Yeah. In December, an emboldened Disney tripled its target to 260 million subscribers by 2024 and doubled its content budget to 15 billion.
15, so it's more than Jesus. I mean
that's mad.
Like that is the other. It's actually, I suppose it's good that you brought up Disney, because, and I think we spoke about this before as well. Like, and I don't know how to feel about this. Like, obviously, if one company or even like 3 or 4 companies own all the companies, that's not good. Of course, it's not good. And like Microsoft have definitely been spending money. Like Bethesda was the big cash purchase, but they bought, who else did they buy? Like Double Fine, Ninja Theory, In Exile, didn't they? I think Obsidian. Like, yeah, that's obviously not great for the games industry to have all of these companies under one roof. When it comes to one company maybe aiming to have or trying for a monopoly, which obviously they won't get because they're not going to buy Sony or fucking Nintendo. But at the same time, like and of course they're going to say this, I get that, but like every Bethesda person has so far been pretty, like, I wouldn't even say like PR complimentary. I would say like overly complimentary about Microsoft. So like, I don't know. Like,
I imagine they've all made a significant chunk of change.
Which would help.
Surely everyone at that company has seen some benefit. Like, right, because like when companies get bought out, they often, even the lowliest scum gets scum. Not scum, you know what I mean.
Scum.
Like I've known media companies when they get bought out, like even the writers on the magazines get a little bonus as like a hey, welcome to the company kind of thing. So you've got to imagine like everyone's seen a little bit of that. And if on the surface their jobs are going to continue as they were beforehand, except now they've got a little,
more money or more
a little
resources,
juicy bonus or whatever. Yeah, it's got to be fun. And it does open them up. Like a lot of these games, I mean, Bethesda's such an interesting studio because they've got a few absolute like gold standard mega hits, which are the worth of which is just so obvious. Elder Scrolls and Fallout, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe like Doom is pretty good too, pretty solid sales wise, and you get all the id tech stuff. You get a lot of interesting stuff with them. But a lot of these games aren't necessarily the biggest games. Like the Arcane games are like critically acclaimed, adored, but they're not in the same league as those other things. Same I'd say with the Wolfenstein. Like, I think what they've done is they've bought like a lot of better Metacritic scores than they've basically their last generation of exclusives scores wise was pretty bad. Like the quality wise, there was a big gulf between them and Sony, and they've automatically filled in some of that gap. And on the flip side, these other studios, their slightly more niche concerns are in front of so many more eyes on Game Pass. That just makes perfect sense. I think there are a lot of people who would really dig Dishonored if they gave Dishonored a try, but they never would because they only play, COD and GTA or whatever. And it's them that you kind of, there's an interesting kind of a mix of the two. The score thing absolutely doesn't matter, of course. Like that's just bullshit. But it must be nice to get to the end of the year and go, we have been kind of adored just on a quality level. Like, it really bums me out every year when you have Game Awards and it gets the Xbox category. So like best Xbox exclusive. And there's like the one good game they made this year, which is often a Forza Horizon or an Ori game, and then the other things. And it's kind of like there are games in those categories where you can just tell the person who's put the category together has really struggled to find 6 decent Xbox games.
Six Xbox games. Let alone 6 decent ones. But yeah, it's like the new Forza Horizon game. Other shit as well. And the winner is Forza Horizon.
It's a little bit like, last year was the best Xbox game Ori and the Will of the Wisps or Bleeding Edge.
It's a toughie.
But so I don't know. With all these things, I've always been a bit of a, well, let's wait and see, which I know is like absolutely not spicy or sexy or what the internet demands.
But what are we to do but wait and see in a situation like this? Maybe
there are doom mongers who will say all these studios are like, Microsoft will kill all these studios because it killed off a lot of studios about 5 years ago, which is the reason it had to buy loads of studios. Was it just shut? Anything interesting they had got closed. But let's not be too doom and gloom.
Yeah, let's let us indeed wait and see what happens with that. Just like we will have to wait and see what Square have up their sleeve, because
that's a segue.
Everyone, Matthew, this is it. Well, no, Konami. That's the only one that are left waiting in the wings for their chance to shine. But we're getting there. We're almost at the point where every last publisher has some form of Nintendo Direct style thing. Square, as I say, Square Enix are the latest one to join this growing trend that has just exploded in the last year. They are, this Thursday on the 18th of March, they're going to be, their Nintendo Direct thing is called Square Enix Presents. And it will be 40 minutes long, and headlining this event is the world premiere of the next Life is Strange. No word on what it entails, but we just know it to be the 4th Life is Strange. That will feature a brand new protagonist and a new power. And Square have also said that they're going to be showing off trailers and gameplay for a lot of games that we already know about, such as like Outriders, Marvel's Avengers, Balan, Wonderworld, and something on Tomb Raider's 25th anniversary. They haven't said what, but there was a leak recently on the Microsoft Store. I don't know if you saw that, for some sort of like Tomb Raider 25th anniversary collection or whatever. That was the reboot trilogy.
Well, that's just a bundle of 3 existing games, right?
That's probably.
I mean, what a rotten. That's not a birthday. That's not a birthday celebration.
But they could have some surprises up their sleeves. No mention of Final Fantasy or Project Athia or Babylon's Fall or even The Quiet Man 2. So
The Quiet Man 2.
What? I don't know. Hit me, Matthew. What do you suspect to be shown off at Square Enix Presents?
Have you've seen the weird rumor about the Outriders Game Pass stuff?
Oh yeah, actually, I forgot to put that in.
Some people seem to think that Outriders will launch on Game Pass on Xbox as well, which would be great if so, because
it's Game of the Year.
It's Game of the Year. I think the Outriders discourse is leaning towards positivity now.
See, we were there first, Matthew.
I think people, when it first came out, that demo, lots of forum chatter was quite instantly bleh. But actually, people found it had a little something about it, and they kind of stuck with it. And I think people are going to come to the conclusion that game is actually okay. It is as okay as a game needs to be to succeed right now, where there aren't many other games.
Yeah, it's okay. Okay games are okay.
It's got good powers. It's got good powers. I stand by that. It's got good powers, and it's really generous with the powers. You get to use them loads.
Yes, you do.
That is the key to that game, I think.
And where is the best place for okay games to live? Xbox Game Pass. So
Xbox Game Pass is the home of 7 out of 10s. This game, I think, is going to be the 7 to end all 7s.
Oh, this is the 7est 7 that ever did 7. I can only imagine. I'm really looking forward to playing it.
And that is actually a recommendation.
Yeah, genuinely. Well, I suppose, there's a couple of games I mentioned there. Maybe that'll be the Outriders news. What about the Tomb Raider 25th anniversary chatter then? Would you be disappointed if it was just here, for the price of one game, you get 3 games?
That's just I swear they've sold those as a bundle before. That's just a decision that you make on a marketplace. That isn't a thing. I hope that they'll show us a glimpse of what they plan, or to say we're going to make another Tomb Raider, or here is the next Tomb Raider, or what I'd really like them to do is basically do what they did for Tomb Raider Anniversary, but for some of the older ones. I love Tomb Raider Anniversary. Crystal Dynamics took Tomb Raider 1 and basically sort of remade it. It's not just an HD do-over. It's a proper remake, and they changed quite a lot of it. I'd do that for Tomb Raider 2 or something. That'd be fun.
That would be cool, yeah.
But I am a big fan of the first period of Crystal Dynamics Tomb Raider. So Legend, Anniversary, and Underworld are for me, they're my 3 favorite Tomb Raider games. The new trilogy I like a lot, but it not very good tomb action fundamentally. So I'd like something from that, but we'll wait and see. Are you a Life is Strange fan?
Life is Strange is all right. I think I've played every Life is Strange game. The original Life is Strange was I was going to say it wasn't groundbreaking. It was, I suppose, a little bit different for the time, perhaps. But the original Life is Strange is okay. The first 3 episodes are actually quite good, and then it does. I suppose I won't spoil it in case something, whatever. But there's the end. I think it was to the 3rd episode where they did something that totally disregarded another thing, and I was like, well, what's the point of fucking anything then if you're just throwing stuff away? It's very hard to talk around spoilers. But yeah, the first Life is Strange is overall okay. Life is Strange Before the Storm, which was the prequel, is bad. And Life is Strange 2 is, again, okay, but maybe a little bit less okay.
What power in Life is Strange 2?
In Life is Strange 2, it's your brother that has telepathic powers, I think it was.
Right.
And you told him, so you didn't have direct control of the powers, but you would talk to him and say, can you move that log? Can you, whatever, can you put that thing there? Blah, 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 blah. The Life is Strange games are completely fine. Like, there are games that do what Life is Strange do, but like way better. I don't know. They're fine. Like, they'll release another one, and I'm sure it'll be popular.
I'm just interested what the new power will be. We've had time rewinding. Mind magic.
Mind magic. I'm trying to remember what Before the Storm was. Oh, but actually, yeah. Oh, I forgot that. Before the Storm doesn't have a power.
You play the friend without powers, right?
You play the friend, and your power is talking back to somebody, being snippy with somebody is your power. Sass. I forgot that. That's rubbish.
Life is sass.
God, that was a bad game. I don't know. It's Life is Strange. I'm sure some people will like it, and more.
I hope it's like a Square Enix cross promotion thing, and it's like set in a high school, except one of them basically develops all the powers of the trickster class from Outriders.
Oh, crossover! I like that.
It's about triplets, and each of them is a different class from Outriders, and it's about how they negotiate, the lead up to their prom when they've all got extreme combat abilities.
Sign me up. The only other game that they mentioned that we haven't is Balan Wonderworld, which I don't know if you've played the demo of it. That is...
I must admit, I watched a video of it and thought, this seems a bit too much for me.
Oh my word. What? It's... ludicrous. I would recommend download the demo, people watching or listening, because it is absolutely off the wall stuff altogether.
I'm really not a fan of Knights, which was old Yuji Naka's. It seems to be what he's tapping into for this one. Like,
this could be maybe not Quiet Man levels, but this could be up there with Quiet Man.
It's a shame, because I like the idea of a publisher throwing their money behind a really colourful 3D platformer. I just wish it was someone who's better at making 3D platforming games than Yuji Naka, who, obviously Sonic the Hedgehog, 2D, whatever you feel about that.
Excellent,
but his other games really don't do it for me. It's not like... After 2D Sonic, when he went into 3D Sonic and Knights or whatever, he was kind of troubling Nintendo's crown at all.
No, he most certainly wasn't.
And he seems to have been making quite ropey games for like the last 10 years. But that's a shame, because I fundamentally love games where you jump around in big, colourful 3D worlds and there's always like mad bullshit or whatever.
Who doesn't? So that's Square Enix Presents. We'll know more after Thursday. I'm genuinely shocked that we got as much out of that as we did, but that's good. But before we move on to what we've been playing, what is that? Up ahead, it's a right angle, because it's time for Tech Corner. And what a Tech Corner, Matthew. So HTC Vive are bringing out this facial tracker, if they haven't already. And it promises near zero latency. It tracks your cheek, your jaw, your lip, your tongue, your chin movements. I have a little video here. This is for those watching the Weekspot. A little video from a YouTuber called Fruxius. They're developing some VR engine called Neos VR. So, like, get a load of this. Get your eyeballs on this. It looks, I don't know what it looks like, Matthew, to be honest. Looks a little bit frightening when you have Foxmen.
Oh no. This is for deviants.
It does feel a little, like, because apart from like a VR chat video game or whatever, I'm not sure, like maybe this is one for developers when they're animating faces and whatnot. I'm not sure, but I don't think this is one for players.
That's quite impressive.
It's certainly impressive. But I'm with you in terms of...
It just worries me that they're using it to bring sort of sexy wolves to life.
Well, what else are they going to do with it? What would you do with it if you had this technology?
Oh no, that's not really my bag.
Sexy wolves.
I'm not a fan. I know that makes me a huge square, but I'm sorry, it's not for me.
Well, that's why my question this week, Matthew, to you is: what is the sexiest animal you've ever seen?
I just don't find animals sexy. Like even I'm trying if there's any anthropomorphic ones, but it's not for me.
So those
it's not really my deal. I don't even want to like humor the idea.
I've
and
noticed.
perhaps that's close-minded, but
horses for courses, as it were, I suppose. Yes, indeed, if horses are your bag. So those are the news stories of the last 2 weeks. So now it's time to get into what we've been playing in Show and Tell.
Show and tell, show and tell. We can't afford a proper jingle. It's meant to be jingle.
Yes, Show and Tell is the part of the PC Gaming Weekspot, where we take you through some of the video games that we've been playing over the last week. Normally, 2 weeks this time. So, Matthew, I had a few days off last week. It was very nice. And I didn't play tons of video games because, it's my job. So I was like, I'm going to watch telly, I'm going to do whatever. But then this little video game, I was seeing a lot about this. This Loop Hero. I was like, this doesn't look like my bag. I'm not sure about this, but it's getting a lot of buzz. It's sold like 500,000 copies, not Valheim numbers, but still very good numbers. So I was like, okay, let's give this a go.
It's only 1/6 as good as Valheim.
Yeah. Matthew, it's fucking great. Like this thing is, it is absolutely marvelous. Now, it's annoying because it's not the easiest game to describe for those that don't know what Loop Hero is, but I'll try my best. It's much easier. Outriders, it's a third person shooter and the game of the year. Whereas with Loop Hero, it's like, right, well, it's a match 3 puzzle game. It's also a roguelike. It also has a little bit of a deck building in it too. And there's base building. And some people describe it as an idle game, but I think that's not totally true. But it's sort of all of those things put together a little bit. But it's a run game where each run is, yes, a loop, and you are the hero. The loop happens on this tile-based road, this tile-based circuit that you travel around and you battle enemies along the way. And at first, each loop is pretty empty. There'll be a few bog standard slime enemies for you to beat. But then as you progress, you'll be fighting more enemies because more enemies are popping up in the world because you're the one that's populating this world with buildings, with places that have enemies in them, and so forth. You're not... I suppose you're sort of like this godlike figure, really, more so than the titular hero, because you're the one, as I say, you're filling up this world, this bleak world, this barren world. It has nothing on it, but then you're adding all these landmarks and whatever else to this world. I suppose to explain the cards and the gear. When you defeat enemies, you get gear like weapons, shields, armor, etc. But yes, you also do get cards. Gear, self-explanatory. Every item has a rarity and a level, and they also have an impact on your hero's stats depending on their rarity. So some of them will have evasion or counter or vampirism or regen and so on. But the cards these are the things you use to fill up the world. These are the things that will be the landmarks I mentioned and whatever else. So cards can be things like a vampire mansion, which when you place it, it'll spawn vampires, I think, every day. There are these spider cocoon cards, which spawn spiders maybe once every 2 days or something like that, because there is a day and night cycle. There's a day cycle in the game. It's just a little bar that fills up. But then there are other cards that'll spawn enemies and also give you buffs, like say the Ruins card, which will spawn a big worm fella every 2 days, but it'll also give you a random resource when you pass by it. And then on top of that, you have these landscape cards that'll give you things like HP buffs, like the mountain cards or the meadow cards. But then, and then this is where it becomes a match 3 puzzle game as well. How these cards interact will change depending on where you place them, depending on the formation in your grid. So like if you place a 3x3 formation of mountain cards or rock cards, but 2 of them do the same thing, that'll turn into a big mountain peak, which will give you a big HP boost, but then that'll also spawn a harpy enemy every couple of days or whatever it is. Like there is a lot to this that it's one of those games that it explains itself far better when you're playing it rather than listening to anyone else.
I think I've only played a little bit of this, and like I think some of its magic comes from how certain things aren't explained.
Yeah,
and you know there are like a hidden layer of rules to, particularly with like the tiles that you place around the outside, the kind of resource tiles. Like some strange sort of surprises happen when certain combinations are placed or you hit certain milestones. I think that stuff is really like playful, and like seeing sudden situations emerge out of nowhere is kind of part of the appeal for me.
Yes, yeah, like it's very much about discovery. Like when I started playing this, I didn't look at guides or anything. I was just like, all right, let's give it a go and see what happened. I had no fucking clue what I was doing. And when I was placed, like the first time I placed a 3x3 formation of mountains or rocks and it turned into that big mountain peak.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, it's that discovery. Or even, was it last night or the night before when I was playing, so you have these village cards, and when you place I think it's a vampire mansion next to a village card, that turns into a ransacked village. And then that spawns a different enemy again. And then that'll transform it. So it's all that. Like it's, because it's not even just how cards interact with the same type of card. It's, as I say, like a village with a vampire mansion, or there's loads of combinations that I haven't figured out yet. Some benefit you and some others don't. Like, or even like when you place down, like the first time that happened to me, when I placed down 10 mountain cards, and it is 10 mountain cards, isn't it? And that spawned a goblin camp. Now goblins in this game are bastards. Like, oh, real nasty fuckers. But the first time that happened, it was like, well, because then you're trying to remember, how did I do that? What did I do there to do that so that I know for like the next time? But the game, like when you first start playing this game, you kind of go, well, I get the cards, so I guess I just have to place them. Like that's how this works. And after you play it for a while, you realize, no, be a bit more strategic with where you place cards, how often you place them. It's okay to burn some cards because you can only carry 15 at any, I think it's 15, or is it 12? Either or. You can only carry a certain number at any one time. But like the loop will continue. I was going to say until you face the boss. It can continue afterwards. But like how you get to that boss is by populating this world, because there's a little bar in the top left of the screen that when that fills up, that's when the boss will appear, and then you have to fight them. So yeah, base building. I haven't actually mentioned that yet, which again is full of discovery and full of similar to placing cards in certain formations and all that. Like, because as you're traveling around the loops, you're collecting resources. Mm-hmm. So these could be like steel or wood or whatever it is, and like each tile you place will have a resource sort of attached to it. Like I think it's the grove card has like wood and other things. Each one of those can be then used to build things within your base, be it like a kitchen or be it, is there a lab or an alchemist lab or something like that? And each one of them will then, like, you'll be able to buff your character in some way. Because, like, I think I suppose it is more roguelike than roguelite. But at the same time, like, this isn't a game a la, I don't know, Spelunky or whatever, where, like, when you die, you lose everything. Like, what you do in your base can make your next run better. So, like, for example, I'm trying to remember what I built, but
it's things like starting equipment and that.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Like, you'll start with gear if you build a particular thing, or you will have more potions, for example, if you build this other building, and these buildings can be upgraded. And like, there's just all these. There's this kind of layer upon layer upon layer. And again, to your point, it's about sort of you just getting in there yourself and messing around with combinations of tiles or even combinations of gear, and how, like, because like, you know, higher level gear doesn't necessarily always mean better or, you know, more rare gear. Like, it depends on what you're sort of looking for. Like, for example, I always go for shit that has vampirism attached. I think that is gold dust, that stuff.
Yeah, I like the fact that you can kind of sometimes hit a groove where you've got like the right combination of gear with the right buffs, the right kind of tiles generating the enemies that kind of play nicely with the equipment you've got. And because you're automatically just walking around the loop, it becomes this quite like automated, satisfying thing. It's almost got like a hint of one of those like factory building games or like the Zack likes, where you have, you know, it's all about like automating production lines. There's almost like an element of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I mean, I suppose we've talked about how you are more like the godlike figure placing things around, but maybe I haven't mentioned it yet. Like, as well as not controlling your character walking around this loop, you also don't control them in battle. That's all automated. Yeah. Like, you're setting them up with the gear. That's your preparation for this battle. But at the same time, like, whilst I've seen people compare it to idle games like your clickers and whatnot, like, I suppose it has elements of that, but it's not totally like that, because you're constantly getting new gear, so you have to sort of be like looking to see, right, what's
that process of like real time improving gear is a quite kind of involved.
Yeah.
I think it also reminds me a tiny bit of Hand of Fate, which was the kind of RPG where like events on your quest were dealt as like almost like tarot cards. And here, you know, because you have the deck of kind of locations that you're going to lay on the world map, you can change the character and you can sort of decide the kind of challenge you're going to be facing as you go around, which is a similar idea. And it's handled very differently here, but it has a similar energy, I'd say.
I've played this for, I don't know, 10 or 11 hours. I have beaten the first boss and I've gotten to the second boss, but I've died. Like, it is, it's hard. Like, it is tough, but like, even at that, because of that discovery and because of you constantly getting resources that are consistent, that are permanent, like, you don't really feel like runs are wasted. Like, that's something I personally find hard to get over in proper roguelikes, is when you feel like you're sort of, for lack of a better term, wasting time because, like, you know, you've died, you've lost everything. Like, here, that doesn't happen. Whilst the world will change the next time you start, your gear will change, etc., there are permanent upgrades that you're kind of always accruing, as well as the knowledge of what combinations do what. I think this is like, I think this is great. I think this is definitely one of my favorites of the year so far. It's so different. And as I said off the top, like hard to explain, I suppose, because of that, because I don't know. Like you said, like maybe a bit of Hand of Fate, or maybe I don't know some other.
There's so many influences there, and you feel them at different times. But also, it gives you enough of an idea in its tutorial of how it works. But some of the fun is sort of discovering kind of what kind of game it is, and having read a few different reviews as well. Different people take away quite different things from like what the focus of the game is and what the art of the game is, which is quite interesting in terms of like, some people are like, oh, I'm trying, it's kind of about this, or it's a lot about the card, the choice of cards, the kind of deck building element of it, or it's, purely about like character build, or more about character build, or I think there are so many moving parts that you can kind of delve into any of them and kind of make a dent on the game in a way. And obviously, if you master all of them, I imagine something, greatness awaits. But it feels like you can kind of, whichever bit of this you grip onto, you'll have kind of an interesting time with it.
Oh, a real surprise. I enjoy them. I enjoy a real good surprise out of nowhere video game.
We all. Show me someone who's like, oh, surprise.
But yeah, Loop Hero. It's out now. Should get it's only like, so it's about 12. I think it might be on sale. Maybe it's 15 RRP. But yeah, really, really terrific video game. Another video game I've been playing over the last week. I don't have to delve too deep into this because it came out in January. I probably get the pronunciation wrong, but it's Olija or Olija. I don't know where it lands on that J, but it's this one. It is the game that is very similar to old school Prince of Persia, your 2D action platformer. It all hinges on your weapon, which is this harpoon. It ties movement and combat together. And I love video games that do that. So this harpoon that you pick up, you can fling it at enemies to deal damage. And there are certain sort of grappling points in the world that you can fling it to as well. And you can teleport to those grapple points. But enemies can also be used as grappling points as well, for lack of a better term, because you sort of teleport towards them as well.
Right.
It does it so slickly, so fluidly. It's just really, really good fun. Is it quite linear? Is it a Metroidvania thing? What's the sort of deal? It's incredibly linear. So
right.
It is, I don't know, how long does it take me to finish? Between 3 and 4 hours ish. Right. Which is like, sign me up. I love a good 3 or 4 hour game. The thing with this is that there isn't much to do afterwards. So as you say, like it's not a Metroidvania where you can go back and collect magical orbs or open up new pathways or anything like that. It's very much...
Oh, no orbs.
I know, it's such a shame. But like there are things that you pick up along the way, and you have, like Loop Hero as well, I suppose, you have a base here too that you can upgrade certain things, but it's purely, it's very linear. It is linear. It's not very linear. It is linear. So there's not much reason to go back and play, but like for those 3 or 4 hours, you'll have a lovely time. There are other weapons.
What do you ask for in this day and age?
Exactly. There are other weapons that you get, but the harpoon is that's the main boy, really. And one thing I do like about the combat, I suppose I've spoken about the movement when it comes to teleporting around with your harpoon. The harpoon you can get as much enjoyment out of just mashing the buttons to use your harpoon. But if you want to delve a little bit deeper, like there are different attacks attached to the D-pad. Like it's not exceptional, like, it's not exceptionally deep, but there is something here. But the reason I say, you'll have as much fun or whatever by just mashing the buttons is because the enemies themselves, they're pretty thick. They'll often just like rush you regardless of even if they fall to their death sometimes. But it's a fun game. Like some of the boss fights, all right, require you to learn patterns, and they're not quite as simple as the normal enemies that you face. So yeah, that's Olija. It's a fun game. It's good. It is good. So those are the games that we've been playing over the last 7 days, 14 days, whatever. So now it's time to test the knowledge of one another with mystery Steam reviews.
It's time for mystery Steam reviews. Yeah.
So mystery Steam reviews is the part of the PC Gaming Weekspot where indeed we test the knowledge of one another via Steam reviews that are a mystery. And the rules are as follows. Both I and Matthew bring 3 Steam reviews to the MSR arena, but we omit the name of the game associated with each review. Our opponent must correctly guess the game attached to each review. 1 correct answer equals 1 point. While both of us have 90 seconds on each MSR, we both also have help in the form of 3 lifelines. These lifelines can be used at any stage during battle and also pause the 90-second timer. Each lifeline can only be used once, and they are as follows. Question, where the hot seat haver gets to ask a yes or no question. Second opinion, where a second review is given to the warm chair sitter. And a genre, where the genre of the game is revealed to the one with the warm arse. Now, this week's theme is very simple to explain. It is playable lady protagonists in video games.
Now, is this... Oh, you say it's easy. Is this games with sole female protagonists or a female protagonist somewhere in the mix?
Let's say...
I should have probably asked before we recorded this.
let's say... All right, doesn't have to be sole. It could be part of a team.
I mean, I'm not saying... Like, mine might all be sole female protagonists. So I just wanted to clarify for the listeners at home who might be guessing themselves.
The only thing is, as is always the case, it can't be a created character. It needs to be a character that, as in user created.
Elder Scrolls doesn't count.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So, Matthew, would you like your very first Mystery Steam review? Played the campaign only. If you're a fan of the series, you may appreciate the game trying something different with the formula. It doesn't match the original trilogy, but is a great enough game in its own right. Story is quite forgettable, as are some characters. The PC port, aside from some bugs, is really stellar. 8 out of 10 if I had to score. And that's from Game Time UK. Recommended 54.5 hours on record, 40.7 hours at time of review. Matthew, your time starts now.
Interesting. So campaign only, doesn't match the original trilogy. It's great in its own right. Good PC port. So campaign only would suggest it also has a multiplayer mode. That instantly puts me in mind of Tomb Raider, the reboot. The original trilogy. I guess, would you talk about the original trilogy of Tomb Raider? Like, there was 1, 2, and 3, but do you? They're just the older games. Campaign. That did have a multiplayer, though. 54 hours is quite a long time to spend playing Tomb Raider. Wasn't wild about the story, wasn't wild about the characters. But it is a great PC port. It's a really nice looking game. I'm going to say Tomb Raider.
Is that your final answer?
That's my final answer.
Good, I should have had the thing lined up here. Don't worry, I will
Amateur hour, Chris.
I mean, if they only knew the hassles of this week's Weekspot. So, you quite quickly recognize, a reboot, original trilogy, etc., and you zoned in on the original Tomb Raider, or they were referring to the original Tomb Raider trilogy, giving you an option of 3 Tomb Raider games. Tomb Raider, of course, also has multiplayer in it. You didn't go for Rise of the Tomb Raider nor Shadow of the Tomb Raider. You have gone for
They didn't have multiplayer modes.
They didn't have multiplayer modes. That's why you didn't go for it, Matthew. You've gone for just Tomb Raider, and I can tell you that the correct answer is Gears 5.
Oh, piss. Oh, god
Kate
damn
Diaz.
it. Oh my god, campaign only. Oh, that's tough.
You could put
That's
a lot
tough.
of, you probably put a lot of hours into that. It's famously a very nice looking game. But Tomb Raider could have been that too. Matthew, could I have my first Mystery Steam review, please?
Oh, disappointing. It's so smooth and buttery. For real though, the game was optimized with cocaine and the tears of elder gods. Marty Venn recommends this after 4.5 hours, but with 3.9 at the time of review.
Time starts now. Elder Gods is surely the tears of elder gods. Cocaine, I mean, if is the developer famously a drug addict? Smooth and buttery, so it's going to be 60 frames per second, it's going to be intensive. So action game. Oh dear. I might have to use one of my lifelines very early on. I'm just trying to think now. What could that be? An action game. I mean, smooth and buttery. Ah, shit, no. I think I might have to use... Don't really want to, but I might have to use my second opinion. Yeah, pausing the timer 38 seconds. Could I use my second opinion, please, Matthew?
The wonderful game where you play as a caring mother and kill messengers of God through the power of BDSM.
38 seconds restarting now. Oh! Bayonetta? Bayonetta 2 never came to PC, did it? That was always on Wii U. It came to Switch, did it? I don't know, it doesn't matter. Just PC games we're thinking about here. Bayonetta. Elder Gods, yeah, it's all that kind of... Yeah. BDSM. Bayonetta. Yep.
Is that your final answer?
That is my final answer, Chris.
Very interesting. You seemed confused by this. You asked for a second opinion. You knew it was an action game from the buttery spoof. But is this Bayonetta? The correct answer is... Bayonetta!
Yes! Get in. Excellent use of second opinion there. Ooh, four.
Oh, I love it. I love it when the contestant themselves announces that it was good. Much if they did that on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. They're like, yes, Chris, I absolutely nailed that 50-50. I'm a legend.
Well, to be fair, I think Chris would tell me, whereas I know you won't. So I have to.
Well,
if I
well, listen, I think you're going to need that clue later, but we'll see.
What mean and nasty reviews does Matthew have?
Oh, absolutely not. That isn't mean and nasty. That was me saying, I feel bad for you because I feel that you're going to need that clue later.
Matthew, here is your second Mystery Steam review. Fabulous looking game, but in the end, it is so cheap. You'll get so tired of doing the same sequence over and over again. Mostly because the monster drops right next to you or happens to notice where you are. Of the 20 some hours I've played, probably 15 of that is just repeating something I just did over and over. I really wanted to like this game, and that's from Zetrov 2001, I'm going with. Not recommended, 22.7 hours on record, 21.3 at time of review. Matthew, your time starts now.
The monster drops right next to you. That instantly put me in mind of Resident Evil 3 because of Nemesis, but then 20 hours? No way. That game's like 6 hours long tops. Give me the genre.
Oh, All right then. So we're going to pause the timer at 1:12 whilst Matthew uses his genre lifeline. So the genre of this video game is as follows. A survival horror video game. A survival horror video game. Your timer 1:12 restarts now.
I mean, that sounds like Resi. A Resident Evil 3. I mean, it could be Resident Evil 2, because the monster, if you play as her, she's not really the main. Yeah, it's got her or him as the player characters. Resident Evil 3 is a lot more like Jill Valentine, and the monster drops, Nemesis, like. But Mr. X, it's more like, it's not, it doesn't ever feel like, surprise, it's Mr. X, he's there doing his thing. This is tricky. Question.
Oh, God. All right. We're pausing the timer at 24 seconds. Yeah, go on. Ask away, Matthew. What's your question?
Is this game a remake?
Is this game a remake? No. It is not a remake.
Shit.
24 seconds, restarting the timer.
No. All right. Female protagonist, monster. It can't be Resi. It can't be a new Resi. Oh, Jesus. Oh, no. Oh, what's the thing? What's that horror game? There's one recently you play where you're pregnant. It's like one of the Amnesia games. It's, Amnesia. Amnesia. Oh, fuck it. I don't know what it's called.
I'll allow Amnesia. I'm in a good mood. I'll allow Amnesia after the buzzer sounded.
Amnesia's not the answer.
So you really could have zoned in on Resident Evil, and it read like a Resident Evil review, Matthew. It was a very detailed review, and indeed you were thinking, this must be Resident Evil. But the count was like, that's not right. And then you asked that pivotal question, is this a Resident Evil game? No.
No, I said, is it a remake?
Or is it a remake, sorry? And I said no. The correct answer, Matthew, is Alien Isolation.
Of course. Of course, and that's a famously long survival horror game. That's like the thing that's famous about it, apart from it being good in the Alien. It's the survival horror game that is really long. Ah, that was dumb.
You nearly got it. Well, you didn't.
I didn't get anywhere near it.
Come on. You didn't, but anyway,
is it a remake of Alien?
Matthew, could I have my second Mystery Steam review, please?
Make sure you hurry up and play this before the sequel comes out in 2030, no, 2040, no, 2017, no, 2020, no, 2022, no, 2032, no, 2045, before the heat death of the universe. Sorry, that 2013 should be crossed out too. That's from Xander77. They recommend this after 12.5 hours on record.
Time starts now. Make sure you hurry up and play this before the sequel comes out. So a famously delayed sequel, or... No, they said comes out in 2013. Which would make one think that this review was written in 2012, 2013-ish. Oh, Jesus, that's... I don't know, I don't even know where to go with that one. A video game... Shit. I wonder which genre shed any light on it. I feel like it wouldn't. But while we're here, why not? Or should I save it till the end? Nah, let's use it now. Pausing the timer at 31 seconds. Matthew, could I have my genre lifeline, please?
Yeah, let me look it up.
Because I need, I don't know, a nudge in some direction would be nice. Oh. Why is the timer restarted?
Oh shit!
Oh, that's not. That wasn't meant to happen. What was that? 31 seconds.
This is described as an action-adventure video game.
Right. I think it was at about 30 seconds. An action-adventure video game. Okay. Starting the timer now.
Cursed genre. Tells you nothing.
Really, it really is.
Good luck.
I mean, I wonder, like, the only thing I have in my head is that if this review was written in 2012, 2013, maybe it was in a pre-Mirror's Edge Catalyst world. It's not Mirror's Edge Catalyst. Mirror's Edge. It's all I have.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
So go with Mirror's Edge. You're looking for a game which has a sequel that this reviewer feels is never going to come out. Mirror's Edge did have a sequel announced. Was it famously delayed? It had a female protagonist. The correct answer is Beyond Good and Evil.
Ah!
Oh.
Action adventure. Such a rubbish.
It kind of
genre.
is.
Oh no, it is. I know. I'm not disagreeing with. I'm just saying, it's always terrible when a genre is an action adventure because it doesn't tell you enough, basically. Matthew, your third and final mystery Steam review.
For the draw.
Set in an old and abandoned Apple store from hell, this is a game that you think is as easy as it sounds at first, but then you realise you feel like an idiot for thinking that. The levels are impossible when really you could clear them in a few minutes each. The levels are impossible when really... I mean, that's what they wrote. I think he's... Yeah.
Right.
And
a review that even you think shit as you're reading it. That fills me with hope.
I think they're saying you think that the levels are impossible, but then you could clear them in a few minutes each. Anyway, it's from Koraiji. It is recommended 37.3 hours on record, 35.7 hours at review time. Matthew, your time starts now.
Apple Store from Hell sounds like it's going to be easy. The levels aren't impossible. You can clear them in a few minutes each. It's got levels, self-contained levels. Apple Store from Hell. Give me my second review.
All right then. So your second opinion of this is as follows. Excellent, unique, creative, and amusing. It's both challenging enough to be interesting and short enough to not be tedious, just like this review.
Oh, that's fucking rank. That's a rank review.
And your timer restarts. I'm giving you extra time. Your timer restarts now.
Oh my god. What does Apple Store from Hell mean?
Excellent, unique, creative, and amusing. It's both.
That doesn't say anything. You could say that about any game. It's funny. It's got a sense of humour. It's got a female protagonist. Sense of humour. Apple Store from Hell. It's got self-contained levels. It's going to be some kind of puzzle game. It's got to be some kind of push. I keep thinking of Wilmot's Warehouse, and it's not that because it's fucking Wilmot, and that is not a woman's name, I don't think. This is my daughter Wilmot. Wilma. All right. So it's like a self-contained levels. Apple Store from Hell. Like, so it's in a shop. You're pushing stuff around. Apple Store from Hell. They said it was short and they spent 30 hours on it. Oh, I have no idea. I have no fucking idea.
Would you like to submit any answer?
Doom. I have no fucking idea. I am so flummoxed by that. That is That is such a long review. Why did you pick a review that was like 1,000 words long?
After this very in-depth review, and also, well, at first you were kind of trying to think, what, an Apple Store from hell? That's obviously pivotal, but what could that be? Got the second opinion, which mentioned things like creative, mentioned things like amusing, mentioned things saying it was short enough not to be tedious. You've ended up, of course, on Doom, which famously...
I haven't ended up on Doom. Don't pretend that I followed like some strand of thought to Doom.
When you think of the backdrops in Doom, it's all very clear and white, like an Apple Store, of course. And the Doom guy is, of course, our favourite female protagonist. So, Matthew, I can tell you that the correct answer is Portal.
Oh, that is a horrible review of Portal.
Whoa.
Describing Portal as what? It's like an Apple Store because it's got a white Oh, no, that's horrible.
Apple stores are famously clinical and white. I thought the second review, no, very few games are amusing.
What about the second review you thought was okay?
Unique, creative, amusing. How many games are funny? Fuck all. That's quite a big, heavy hint.
It's just the character. I don't really think of that character as anything because she doesn't say anything.
She's
just a silent. Oh.
Matthew, could I have my third and final Mystery Steam review, please?
Anyway, why are there zombies in this piano simulator? Says Toffo. Toffo? I think it was meant to be Tofu. Anyway, recommended 15.1 hours on record, 6.8 at the time of review.
Time starts now. I mean, you get cross at my in-depth reviews, and then you give me, why are there zombies in this piano simulator? Why are you so cross?
Because you just pick things which have just got loads of generic fucking adjectives in that could be applied to any game. We're like, oh, it's great. As if that's a clue. This game is great.
You're such a cross
is it? It's great, is it? Oh, it must be fucking Desperados 3.
Why are there zombies in this piano simulator? Oh yeah, that's totally clear.
Such a specific reference.
I don't know it.
But that's on you.
Well, so why didn't you get the Apple Store from hell then?
Because it was a fucking fake review. I've played that game and I didn't get it. I just catapulted a spoon. I hit a spoon on my desk and it flipped because I was so cross.
Oh, I've never seen a man so cross. I don't know. What is it? Zombies in my piano simulator?
You've got a question?
The movie Big? Is a piano in that? There's no... Do you play it? Big.
Big.
Yep.
See, is that your final answer?
Yep.
So, your final answer, you've picked the film Big.
Yep. From 1988. Classic.
For a certain sensibility, I imagine. Why are there zombies in this piano simulator? If you'd kept your clue, you would have heard the clue. I'm glad this $1,000 game came with a headset.
Are you going to tell me the answer?
The correct answer is Half-Life Alyx.
Cool.
Listen.
Anyway, that is Mystery Steam reviews.
No. I've genuinely got a point to make. Right. If you... There's two things at play here. If you've played the game and you don't recognise it from the review, that is a bad review. If you haven't played the game and you don't recognize it from the review, then that's okay. You haven't played the game. You weren't expected to get it. But I have played Portal, and I don't recognize that description of Portal. Where if you had played Half-Life Alyx, you would recognize this description of Half-Life Alyx. That is the difference. That's all I'm saying.
Fine. Yes, this is the part of the PC Gaming Weekspot where we indeed take your burning questions, your feedback, your correspondence. You can email us at any stage throughout the week. weekspot@rockpapershotgun.com. We start off, as always, with our friend Mog, who, when the last episode premiered on YouTube, Mog gave us 10 English pounds. Thank you very much, Mog. I shouldn't say English. £10 sterling. Thank you, Mog. Mog said, is there any chance of a regular or semi-regular behind-the-scenes series / podcast along the lines of the old Traincast and RPS Uncovered material? Either way, keep up the great work. Maybe, maybe not. I mean, you gave us money, so I had to answer this question. So again, thank you very much, Mog. Very difficult one to answer, to be honest with you. Matt says, hello, Colm and Matthew. Another burning question for you. What's your favourite freeware PC game? Mine would have to be either Barclay Shut Up and Jam Gaiden or the original Spelunky. Hope you had a restful holiday, Colm, although I would have loved to see Matthew attempt to do the weak spot on his own. Cheers, Matt. Thank you, Matt.
If anyone ever saw the one stream I did by myself for Ori, you'd know why I didn't do a stream, because I spent the first 20 minutes of that without any sound. Just an idiot. It's very complicated. And it's a real, Colin pulls out all the stops. There's all kinds of mad...
Are you being complimentary now, is it? Yeah.
Well, no, listen. When it comes to, I can compartmentalize. When it comes to, the stream setup, you do a really good job. When it comes to your Steam reviews... absolutely disgusting.
Give me a free game you like, Matthew.
What's Cave Story? Was that technically freeware to begin with? Back in the day, that little kind of Metroid-y thing. I know it got ported and then sold as a thing, but I swear that started as freeware. I used to, when I was a kid, being a school friend, were obsessed with this bizarre comedy game called Vinny's Tomb, where it was all drawn in paint. It was a very rudimentary point and click game. You can still find it if you look up Vinny's Tomb. And the guy who made it voiced all the characters and they were really janky. But we used to it's about half an hour long maybe, but we used to play that and just absolutely piss ourselves laughing. It was so funny. Vinny's Tomb. Maybe Escape from Vinny's Tomb or Journey to Vinny's Tomb.
I don't know it.
I have no idea how it was on his PC in his house, and so he played it lots.
A game that comes to mind is Doki Doki Literature Club, which was released not that long ago, 2018, maybe 19. I feel like it's, or no, I don't know, around then anyway. It's on Steam. It starts out, do you know what? It's very much like, I think we've mentioned on the show before, Pony Island. It's that type of, it starts out as a high school visual novel, and then it gets dark. It's good. It's just one of those games that kind of plays with expectation and sort of messes with your head. Lucas from Switzerland says, hello, Colm and Matthew. Only a few weeks ago, I ventured into the vast ocean of gaming podcasts and was fortunate to discover your show. I'm very pleased with it because it is as informative as it is entertaining. Now, for my burning question, are there any games you've discovered primarily for their sense of humour? For me, two examples are Giants, Citizen Kabuto, and the No One Lives Forever games, which I replayed several times just because dialogue, characters, etc. are fucking hilarious. Keep up the great work. Lucas from Switzerland. Thank you very much, Lucas. Well, Portal, obviously, as we've learned, is an amusing video game. I mean,
what I love about Portals is just like being trapped in an Apple store from hell.
I mean, you've already told me.
No one ever, apart from one idiot.
You've already told me one of your favorites is or one of your favorite comedy games is this Vinny Rides to Town
Vinny's
or whatever
Tomb.
the fuck it is.
Vinny's Tomb. Both those games that Lucas said, Giants and No One Lives Forever, both excellent. No One Lives Forever 2. Very funny. Also, the old LucasArts games, classics.
Yeah, I might because Lucas says that you've enjoyed primarily for their sense of humor.
Yeah, I'd say like Grim Fandango, the Monkey Island series. It's got to be some other funny game. I tell you what. Have you ever played the Magic Circle?
No.
I think it's called Magic Circle. It's quite strange. Indie game from about 5-6 years ago. About you're in like a build of an RPG that hasn't been finished, and you find these like audio logs, and it's about like the warring developers behind the scenes. And the kind of mechanic of the game is that you can kind of like rewrite the behavior of objects in the world to try and solve puzzles. In itself, that's not hilarious. It's more of an interesting puzzle game. But it ends with you basically have to sabotage someone's like E3 demo from inside the game by like rewiring it. And it is, to my mind, the funniest moment in a video game of all time. Like I just, the sense of glee of just messing with this thing. And there's like the payoff for the whole game. And I don't think that's sort of spoiling it to say that's the rough setup. But if you play this thing, it's quite serious, and it ends with just this absolute note of lunacy. And oh my God, I laugh so hard.
I mean,
the Magic Circle.
Yeah, like primarily for their set. Like, I mean, Hitman is like there are hilarious moments come from that, but I wouldn't say primarily. Do you know a game? I don't know actually how this would hold up. I remember at the time enjoying it, but I don't know if it holds up. Do you remember Jazz Punk?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I remember thinking that was all right back in the day. I know.
It's a little bit like Jazz Punk's a little bit like the airplane of video games, which, like, if you like that total quick fire of just silly, like, wordplay and sight gags and stuff, it isn't quite my cup of tea.
But another game that comes to mind is the Stanley Parable, which I would say, like, yes, the mechanics of it and all that. Also, you know, how I suppose that's another game talking about games that kind of play with expectation. But I think Stanley Parable is quite funny.
One more. There is no game, Wrong Dimension. I think I've talked about it on the Weekspot before in Show and Tell months ago. A weird sort of fourth wall breaking game about a in-game narrator trying to stop you from playing his own game, and it goes some pretty wild places. Especially if you like the LucasArts stuff, there's some stuff in there which I think will really, really connect with you. That's a great, great hidden gem, I think.
Is it funny?
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah.
I don't know how to say this out. Okay, so we have a question from Jonathan. Jonathan asks, how do you both pronounce Scone?
Scone.
See, I think this is down to nationality. So I say scone. And I have been told that in this country, if you would say scone, you're up your own arse. Whereas in Ireland, if you were to say scone, you would be up your own arse.
Oh, interesting. Either way, I do not want a scone that's been up someone's arse. That much I know.
Guy got in touch. Welcome back from your holiday column. I have a question. It's for both of you, although it's Matthew inspired. He's always going on about interesting detective stories he's been reading, and he's mentioned liking texty games, maybe is what it's meant to be, like adventures and so on, and a lot of Japanese media. I was wondering if he has read or would consider reading Umeniko When They Cry. It's the most bonkers, poly, crazy, mad, meta, what's it type bizarro story. Too long and with many flaws, but super interesting. And at a push, might be the most avant-garde visual novel on Steam. Would love to hear some takes.
This is either on my Steam wish list or it's a game I look at every couple of months. And I find it quite confusing because I think there's a couple of alternate versions of it. I've never downloaded it for that reason. What is the version? I swear this is the one I'm thinking of. Like, there's a couple of different things on it. Yes, I definitely need to give this a go. I definitely want to give this a go. I will do that, and then I will show and tell it at some point on the week spot. But I just need to, I swear there's like 3 different versions. I don't know which one's the right one. That's what I've got to work out.
Exciting. And our final question, or questions, comes from Sean. Sean says, hello, boys. I've been listening for a while now, and while I enjoy your opinions on games, I think I speak for everyone when I say we want to know the men behind the microphones a little more. So sounds ominous. So I have a few quick-fire questions for you that I found on Google that may give everyone a better insight into who you both are. There are a lot of them, so I won't be upset if you don't manage to make it through all of them. I could have sent you more. Anyway, thanks for making the hoovering more enjoyable, Sean. No problem, Sean.
No worries.
All right, so Sean has... there's a lot of them here, Matthew. It's very, I would say, like, let's go quick fire. Because there are a lot of them. So are you ready?
Yeah.
Are you ready? All right, okay. Okay. Phone call or text?
Phone call.
Phone call too. Cake or pie?
I can do funny voices.
Cake or pie? No explanation, Matthew. Come on, cake or pie? Cake. Football or soccer? Guessing American.
Neither.
I didn't know that was allowed. Okay,
I don't
soccer.
like it. I'm not interested.
Bath or shower?
Shower.
Neither. Shower. Glasses or contacts?
Glasses.
Glasses. Passenger or driver?
Passenger, always.
Driver. Toilet paper, over or under?
We've actually got 2 rolls and 1 of each.
Okay, under.
We have 2 toilet roll holders on either side of the toilet. By mistake.
Okay, anyway, cups in the cupboard. Right side up or up? Right side up or upside down?
Right side up.
Right side up. International vacation or domestic vacation?
Domestic.
International. Movies at home or movies at the theatre? Cinema.
The cinema, yeah.
Movies at home. Ninjas or pirates?
Ninjas.
Paper or plastic?
Paper.
Paper too. Boat or plane? I'm going to have to rush you.
Boats. I don't know.
Plane. Reading or writing?
Reading.
Writing. Singing or dancing?
Singing.
T-shirts or sweaters? Jumpers?
Sweaters.
Yes, sweaters. Flowers or trees?
Trees. Flowers are so overrated.
Flowers.
They're just there. And
I didn't ask for explanations. No, Superman or Batman? We have loads to get through, Matthew. Superman or Batman?
Batman, easy.
Batman. Family run or chain restaurant?
Family run.
Cookout in backyard or catered?
Catered.
Catered, yeah. Wine or beer? Beer. Orange juice or grapefruit juice?
Orange juice. What a terrible choice. I love orange. Like, who would ever pick grapefruit juice?
Neither is what I forgot we're allowed to say neither. Orange juice if I had to. Pizza or subs?
Pizza.
Peanuts or almonds? Or piss nuts?
I hate both of them. Peanuts.
Neither. Yuck. Garlic or onion?
Onion.
Garlic. McDonald's or Burger King?
Burger King.
Mm-hmm.
Even after their naughty tweet.
Oh, Jesus. Did they do a naughty tweet?
They did a sexist tweet on International Women's Day, and I was like, I just want to be able to enjoy my chicken bacon double cheeseburger in peace. Why have you made this like a bad thing?
Circles or squares?
Squares.
Circles. Ketchup or mustard?
Neither. I hate both.
The older I've gotten, the less ketchup if I have to. Money or fame?
Fame.
Money. Piercings or tattoos?
Probably tattoos.
Piercings. I have them, I suppose. Puzzles or board games?
Like a jigsaw puzzle.
I did, yeah. It's not
Or a board game over jigsaw puzzle. But if it's a puzzle, like a weird mystery puzzle, I'll take that.
Ooh, mystery. Yeah, puzzles, sure, why not? Living room or bedroom?
With a fold-out sofa, it's both.
Oh, cheeky. Yeah, living room. How dare you ask me? Yeah, living room. Leather. Ooh, again. Leather or lace?
I think I'd look terrible in both.
Neither. TV shows or movies?
Movies.
TV shows. Breakfast or dinner?
Dinner.
Dinner.
Obviously.
Bananas or apples?
Bananas.
Bananas. Facebook or Twitter?
Twitter. Easy.
Twitter, I suppose. I should bomb the both. Snow White or Cinderella?
Cinderella. I wouldn't want to live with all the dwarves. They sing too much.
Cinderella as well, maybe. Sitting or standing?
Sitting.
Standing.
Obviously.
Standing. Being too warm or too cold?
Oh, too cold.
Too cold as well.
It's much easier to warm yourself up than cool yourself down.
Too cold. Online shopping or in-person shopping?
In-person shopping.
Online shopping. Depends. Yeah, fuck it, whatever. Online shopping. I can't believe we nearly got through all of them. One more. Scooby-Doo or Tom and Jerry?
Tom and Jerry.
Tom and Jerry. Yeah.
It's funnier, isn't it?
Quite an easy one. Thanks very much for that, Sean. That was fun.
Oh no, have we given away all our security questions for online banking? Is this identity theft? Hello, I'm Matthew. I love tattoos and prefer fame over money. And they're like, oh, that sounds legit. Why do you stand on Burger King?
There's one more here at the end. And what is your mother's maiden name? Right, okay, I'm sorry, I'm going to avoid that one, Sean. But yeah, if you have any quick fire questions or you want to send us any questions whatsoever, email us weekspot@rockpapershotgun.com. So, that just about does it for this week's edition of the PC Gaming Weekspot. Thank you very much, dear listener, dear viewing, for listening or viewing. Of course, if you want to follow us and get more other Weekspottiness, there are ways. First of all, you can follow us on social media. I am at Colm_Ahern. Matthew is at Mr. Basil_Pesto. If you want to talk to some like-minded people, head over to Discord, discord.gg/rockpapershotgun. Also, if you want to watch the Week Spot, go to youtube.com/rockpapershot. You can like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, all that type of jazz. But if you want the audio version of the Week Spot, subscribe to our PC Gaming Weekspot podcast via all your podcatching apps like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc. But for all of your PC gaming needs, head to rockpapershotgun.com. So, that just, wow, Matthew, you've gotten very short all of a sudden. I'm not sure how that...
It's always happened.
I'm not sure how that happened.
It's because I deflate with disappointment at the end of every Week Spot.
But yes, that is indeed another episode of Week Spot. We will be back next week for more fun and adventures with our friends. But now it's time for my least favourite part of the show. See how low you can go. Now it's time to bid the listener, the viewer, the consumer adieu. So say goodbye, Matthew Castle.
Goodbye.
And say goodbye, Colm Ahern, Slán Gaffo.